Hello fellow hackermans. Today we're going to be doing the Chocolate Factory CTF. I've taken the liberty of running the Nmap scan, did a service scan, script scan with it as well. This CTF in particular happens to be nice and tells us to look other places. It's not here. So we can surmise from that these will be the main three ports that we will be using. The FTP, SSH, and HTTP. I also ran a GoBuster scan, and it came across home.php. And I don't think they wanted us to originally jump to that, because that brings us to a command line. So we're going to go about this the way they intended, and then we'll end up at that point anyway. So for starters, we saw that the FTP has anonymous login, and then it has this gumroom.jpg. So let's check that out, right? And I've already typed it. It's anonymous, so we don't have to worry. Alright, so we've gotten gumroom.jpg. And it is just a picture. But what we can do is derive some information from this picture. Originally I tried to exfiltrate information from it, I didn't get anything from that. What we can do is stag hide to look for information on it. And we see that it has an embedded b64.txt file. So we can extract that. And you do use the tag SF for this. It writes our extracted data, huh? So we get base64txt, or b64.txt. Well, that's something relevant as well. This ends with two equal signs. Generally, that would mean base64. Its name is b64. So let's pop this in to CyberChef and see what we get. A bunch of irrelevant things, but one down here looks pretty important, right? This is a hash for Charlie. So let's go ahead and save this as hash.txt. And we have our hash file. It's nice and beautiful. Throw it on the desktop, make sure we got everything going. Then we can use John to look into this, right? And we know from this hash what type it is. This $6 here tells us this is a SHA-512 hash. And there's a chart for this, you can look that up. But this is relatively important information. And with the power of editing, we're back. And we have successfully cracked, Charlie's password, which is CN7824. So let's try it out, huh? And now we're at home PHP. So now you see what I meant, that we didn't really need to skip ahead. We got there pretty quick. So there's a few things that we can do from here. First of all, who am I, right? We're dub data. Standard, not unexpected. I have a nice little trick that I always like to try whenever I get to these, which is this. As you can see, I seem to use it fairly often. And I'll try different variations of it. We'll start with Python 3, and it worked. It executed the hello command. So that tells me that we can now use this to execute Python, and that's important. And the primary reason that that's so important is that we can utilize this to get reverse shell. And this is the little cheat sheet that I like to use. Unfortunately, it's not easy to copy paste out of this screen, but what I generally just do is I go to the page source, I type Python, and then I go down here, and I copy the whole thing. And we'll get to some of the other screens in just a moment. We'll put this in here, move it forward a bit. We tested Python 3. Python may work, but we did Python 3, so we're going to ensure we do Python 3. And we have to make sure we have our IP address as well as our port number here. That's a critical step in this. So I'm going to use port 1337, and you know exactly why. And we're going to set up our reverse shell and execute. And then we're going to see now we have a reverse shell. As always, we are nice dub data. Bunch of gibberish here now that we've catted this key. But some of it is not gibberish. We can see. So we'll likely need this key for something later. And it is one of the questions that TryHackMe asks us. I've cleared up my terminal a bit, makes this a little bit easier for us to see, right? But we see this teleport.pub, right? So does that make this a private RSA key? And I saved it as teleport. So what can we use that for? Oh, and let's not make the mistake of not changing its permissions. Now we're in. And we have our user flag. We still need to get our root flag. And it's probably safe to assume that Charlie doesn't have root permissions. We see that we can run user bin vi. V? Not important. We can run it. Now, this is another thing I've already gone and brought up. Control F did, as you can see. Go to vi. Look at shells. You can try this out, right? Oh, don't forget to sudo it. And now, we're root. Oh. But it's a Python file. We should generally cat these before anything, see what they do, right? Well, it looks like running this gets us there. So all we have to do is run it. So it's a Python file. It wants a key. Maybe the key that it wants. It's the one that we got earlier. And we have obtained our flag.